So part two, this is the foragey bit. It's not going to be extensive. It's things you can eat now, but also it's things I tend to eat, and I am not the expert on this. So there may be a lot of other things that are either edible or poisonous. Welcome to edible or deadable. Now, I've only just learnt this year that in fact forget-me-nots are edible from a chef who used to take his strawberries and dip them in the forget-me-not flowers. This I do need to check though. Oh, they're actually quite sweet. But don't eat anything until you've double checked it online. Now, these are notoriously both edible and nutritious dandelions. You can make a honey and a tea from the petals. You can eat the leaves like salad or spinach. You can eat them, everything down to the roots you can roast to make kind of ersatz coffee. Whole plant, both edible and full of nutrition like zinc and things. This is a good time of year to be harvesting your nettles. You want the nettle tops, the nice little sweet bits like you'd pick for tea. And you can make a tea of it. You can also use it like spinach. You can also make it into a wonderful nettle soup. That's classic. Again, you can look up all kinds of recipes for nettles. Nettles are what they call dioecious, which means they have, dioecious means two houses as opposed to monoecious. It means they have separate male and female plants. And I mention this because the male plants and the female plants, one produces pollen, the other produces seed, obviously. Nettle seed is also a very good pick-me-up if you can identify your male plants and collect the seeds in the autumn. This is a broadleaf plantain. You also get sort of ribwort plantain and others. This, if you ever get stung by a nettle, this is what you need to rub onto your sting, not the docks. Docks do nothing. They feel cool and it's quite nice, but plantain actually has the chemical elements which help you with stings, and not just nettle stings, insect stings, bee stings, and you can make it into a balm. And it is also edible, and you can make your own what's it called, incense cones out of it. Look it up. I haven't tried it yet, but I remember reading that, so that's quite interesting. And if you go back over to this side, I'm not saying keep all the nettles because we're going to eat them. Like I said, we're not short of them. Nettles in the wrong place can go to a happy new home in nettle heaven. Oh, there's loads of stuff, isn't it? Ah, here we go, that's what I was looking for. Now, these are dead nettles. They're not actually nettles. The family is, I think, Lamium. They're related to, they're of the mint family. So they have a vaguely nettle-like appearance, but they don't sting. And you get white dead nettle and red dead nettle. We have both on this site. It's got a square stem, square and hairy. And this is one of those pot herbs that, like, if I'm having a naughty studio supper, which may or may not be a pot noodle, I can come out and gather things like the nettles and the dead nettles, put them in my pot noodle, and then I don't feel so dirty. Look, more lovely dandelions. And this is another herb which also goes into my cheeky pot noodle. This is called garlic mustard, and it's a biennial. So the second year plant, it produces these little white flowers and these heart-shaped leaves. The first year plant, this is the same plant, has these round leaves. And again, you can eat the whole thing. The taste is in the name, garlic mustard. It's also known as Jack by the Hedge. It's tangy, mustardy, slightly garlicky. You can eat the whole plant, and when it goes to seed, the little seed plants, the little seed pods produce little mustard-like seeds, which you can turn into mustard. Here's another nice edible, Sticky Willy. It's got a lot of different names. It's a Gallium family, bedstraw family. It's also got this sort of square stem. It's sticky. Cleavers, I think it's also known as. Sticks to everything. The seeds stick to everything. But it's another nice pot herb that you can eat, and tastes faintly of peas. Only faintly. Again, a lot of these, you can eat them raw, but I prefer them cooked. And don't be fooled. A lot of foraging sites go, oh, this is delicious. And I've tried loads of these delicious things, and they all taste like grass. But, yeah, that one, distinctly pea-like. There's probably something else that I've forgotten. Now this wild border does tend to do quite well for the garlic mustard, and it comes in and out of favour. Some years you'll get swathes of it, and some years there's not much. Hang on a minute. Oh, there's one I missed for the actual gardening bit. This is another of the globe buddleia. Now you can see this one's got buds on it. It'll probably need a little prune back to stop it overhanging, but don't cut this one back too hard, because I think it had a hard cut last year, and now it's covered in buds. And this is actually a cutting from the one that's over in the courtyard. Yeah, so this year is a really good year for the garlic mustard down this side of the wild border. It's doing very well. But there are things in here you should not eat. And one of them is hemlock. You may know hemlock as the poisonous plant that did for, oh God, was it Socrates? Someone like that. Anyway, it's of the family that used to be called umbellifers and is now called Apiaceae. They tend to have these carroty-like leaves and a sort of flat umbrella-like umbel of white flowers. Now there are some that I particularly like and I've been encouraging on site, such as the wild garlic, the wild carrot and the cow parsley. There's also fool's parsley on site. It's a large family. This one, however, is the deadable, but it is easily recognized from the others because even though it's got very similar looking leaves, the plant is smooth, the stems are smooth. Cow parsley and wild carrot, the stems are hairy. It's not only smooth, but it has these purple speckles. If I can get this to focus. Focus, you swine. Now the others in the family also have a purplish hue to the stems, but they tend to be slightly fuzzy and hairy, and the purple is kind of up and down the stem, whereas with these it's distinctly blotchy. It's definitely a blotchy purple. And I did used to go around pulling this out, and I do still occasionally pull it out, but if you're not sure, leave it, because like I said, I'm planting some that I really don't want to pull out. Also, it's a native wild plant, and frankly the field on the other side is full of it, and it's just blowing over. I cannot keep on top of it, so I think sometimes you have to choose your battles, but all I would say is, yeah, do not eat this one. By the way, don't eat anything that you're not sure about, because you know, better safe than sorry. So we have burdock. If you've ever had dandelion and burdock fizzy drink, that's from the burdock. This is a comfrey. Comfrey actually makes an excellent fertilizer, as I'm sure you'll know. You can put it in a bucket full of water and let it sort of steep, and then use the water to fertilize your plants with. It's great on the compost heap, and insects love it. Now another nice forage you might not be aware of is spruce. These are spruce. This is a spruce tree. There's a couple more around there, and you can see it's just coming in to its new leaf. And the spruce tips, the new leaf is a particularly vibrant sort of lemony orange, and they have a sort of piney, slightly tart, citrusy flavour. But what you can do with them, you can pickle them, make a sweet pickle, or you can make them into a syrup, a sort of migoglio, by layering up the spruce tips with brown sugar in a jar. And you just keep layering up, you don't add any water, and the sugar will pull the water out, and you'll get this wonderful, wonderful piney, citrusy syrup. And last year I made migoglios from a whole range of evergreens, including cedar and larch and pines of all kinds. And they were taste tested by a Michelin-starred chef, and he declared the spruce tip to be his favourite. Now don't go mad, well actually I was going to say don't go mad, but frankly you won't be able to reach most of them, so you know, they're there for the harvesting. Now it's the wrong time of year for these, but I'm just going to point these out because this is another plant that I've been moving around the farm. They're daylilies. They're literally all over the place. When they flower in the summer, they'll have these lovely orange flowers, and they only last for a day. And they're delicious, really sweet and yummy. Again, check everything before you eat it. You can see there is more of the hemlock in there. Now, another thing we have on site, I mentioned giant hogweed in my other video. We do not have giant hogweed on site. We have the perfectly normal native hogweed, which is this. Again, it's the same family as the other Apiaceae. I have been known to take the buds and fry them in butter. They're quite tasty. And I was speaking to another chef who uses the leaves, and he fries them to a crisp and salts them and eats them like kale chips. And I think you can sort of strip the stalks down and cook those as well. So it's not a huge amount of this on site. I've only seen it in a couple of places, but there you go. Perfectly normal, lovely hogweed. There's another stack of daylilies here, and they've been here for quite a while. And even though they tend to get cut back every now and then, they're doing very well. Very nice. I'm taking you back out round to the compost bin site, just because there's a very nice stand of these mayflowers. Hawthorn. And hawthorn as a plant is one of those useful herbs that you can make tea out of the flowers and out of the leaves. When the first buds come out in the spring, they're a nice hedgerow nibble. It's good for strengthening your heart and other things. And of course, when the seeds come in, I just love the flowers. I don't tend to eat them. I like the way they look. But when the seeds come in, those little red haw-berries, you can use them to make fruit leather or hedgerow ketchup. They're very nice. And we're back at the allotment site, because there are a few things in here which are permanent. That's the herb bed. So there's a rosemary, a sage and a bay tree in there that seem to have survived the bunnies. And the reason there's a bath here, the bath is to contain invasive plants, and the invasive plant in question is mint. So there's 2 or 3 different varieties of mint in this bath. But there is also this. It's called 3-cornered leek. I don't know what's happened to it. I think the bunnies or the deer have had a go at it. And it's very much like the wild garlic. Similar taste and everything. But it has a sort of triangular stem and a triangular leaf. Now, I'm glad it's only in here, because apparently it's one of those plants that it's illegal to spread about. So don't move it out of the bath. I think it came in here with a load of topsoil that I got off someone else, got from another garden. But if you get enough of it, it's a very tasty addition to your studio suppers. Oh, and speaking of the deadable, I'm sure you're all aware of this, but daffodils. Daffodils are poisonous. The bulbs are poisonous. They're poisonous to humans, and they are poisonous to dogs. I actually haven't checked on the poisonousness of bluebells, but they don't look like the kind of thing I think you'd eat. Dogs sometimes play with your daffodil bulbs, rolling them around the ground and biting them. You don't want them to do that, because it's poisonous. But if you don't actually eat them, like most deadly things, then it won't hurt you. Speaking of which, all these little rosettes around here are ragwort. And ragwort, there's a massive campaign against it back in the 80s, because it's extremely poisonous to horses and can cause kidney failure and that sort of thing. But only if they eat it. And they discovered actually that horses tend not to eat it because it's bitter and nasty, unless it's mown in with their hay. There are rare instances where some of them get a taste for it, but mostly if you see it in a field with horses in, they eat around it because it tastes bad. It's also poisonous for us, but it is the favoured food plant of the burnet moth, amongst others. And I do tend to let it go if it wants, but again, like with other plants, if it's in a bit that needs mowing, then just mow it. We're not short of it. There's plenty of it around, and if you do see it, at the edges, and it can flower. It has these nice little yellow flowers, and if the burnet moth lays its eggs on it, then you get these little stripy black and yellow caterpillars, which is great fun. That buddleia is problematic. It's too close to the house. I have tried to kill it and remove it, and it has resisted all my attempts. So maybe let's have another go at that this year. Sorry, that's on the gardening front, not on the edible front. Oh, I've just noticed though, here we've got some foxgloves. Foxgloves, poisonous, but also pretty. And it's an extract has been taken from it, used as, I think, a heart mesitazine. Is it digitalis? So, you know, the line between edible and deadable is a fine one, but yeah, don't eat that. And there's some more of this lovely dame's violet, Hesperus matronalis, which is very pretty. And look, there's some more of these nice big violet leaves. And there is somehow or other this lemon balm keeps escaping and getting around the site. It smells nice, it looks nice, people like to make into tea. I'm not a big fan of it, but yeah, there you go. If you want that, mint family, edible. Don't spread it on purpose though, it does a good job of all by itself. Now this tree up here is a cherry plum. I can't remember the actual name of it. It's done its flowering thing, and it looks like it might have baby cherries on it already. Or are they infections? But look out for this in the autumn. Nice red cherry-sized plums, delish. And there's nice rosemary if you want for your stews or whatever. And there's some more lovely hawthorn around here. Now, I forgot to mention in the gardening video, but this sort of hedge bit does need regular pruning. It looks like it's getting regular pruning, so I'm very pleased about that. Over in this bed, it's not a bed, sorry, what am I saying? This parking area. This does need to be kept mowed and trimmed regularly, thank you Dennis, because it's full of nettles and other things. But it's also where the weld grows. And if you're a dyer, you'll know that weld can be used to produce an extremely vibrant yellow dye if you get enough of it. Now, what I have done is I've sowed some weld seeds, which I collected last year. I can't see any of it coming up just yet, into one of the beds on the allotment site. So if you're interested in dyeing, keep an eye on that. And if any weld plants come up here, what I'll probably do is transplant them. I think that's it for now. Gosh, sorry to ramble on. I didn't even mention the usual suspects like brambles. The brambles are, you know, all over the site. And of course you get the blackberries in the autumn. But you can make a lovely tea from the bramble leaves. It's very refreshing. I will do a proper walk round at some point. Now you can join me for a forage and not eat. And I'll probably do another one in the summer when the summer goodies come out. Thank you.